you're stuck making tacos or spaghetti every week, it's time for you to try something new. We're showing you 4 ways to make ground beef less boring for under $15. Why go to the fast food restaurant when you can make Crunchwrap Supremes at home for a fraction of the price? This is perfect for a Friday night family dinner. Start with your taco meat. Brown the ground beef. Then add your favorite taco seasoning and a splash of water to make it saucy. Shred some lettuce. You want it nice and thin. Then chop some tomatoes and drain out some of the water. Now for the fun part. Here's the architecture of a perfect crunch wrap. Lay down a large burrito-sized flour tortilla. In the center, put a scoop of taco meat and a sprinkle of shredded cheese. Now, place a crunchy tostada shell right on top of the cheese. This is the barrier. It keeps the hot stuff separate from the cold stuff, so your lettuce stays crisp. On top of the tostada, spread a layer of sour cream. Then pile on shredded lettuce and diced tomato. Now that we have all of our ingredients stacked up, we need to fold it. Using the burrito-sized tortilla that we're using, we won't be able to cover it completely. So I like to take an extra tortilla and just use my kitchen shears and cut a circle. This is gonna help keep all your toppings in. Fold the edges of the big tortilla up and over. Pleat it as you go until it's sealed tight. Heat a skillet over medium heat with a little oil. Then place the wrap seam side down. This will seal it shut. Cook it for about 2 to 3 minutes until it's golden brown and crispy. Then flip it over. This is seriously one of my favorite ways to use up ground beef. They're so quick and easy to make, and everyone loves them. Next up, we're headed in a completely different direction with a comfort food casserole. This cheesy hamburger potato casserole is the ultimate comfort food, and potatoes are dirt cheap, which means you can make this meal for under $10. Grab your skillet and let's get cooking. We're gonna brown a pound of ground beef with a diced onion. I really like to get a good sear on the beef here. Let it get some color, that's flavor. Add the garlic and cook that for a minute. Then season it generously with salt and pepper. Once the beef is cooked, drain any grease and set it aside. We're peeling and thinly slicing about a pound of russet potatoes. You want them to be about 1/4 of an inch thick. When you're using a mandolin, this is pretty easy to do. With a knife, a little bit harder, but you can still do it. If they're too thick, they'll take forever to cook, and if they're too thin, they'll be a little mushy. In that same ground beef skillet, because we hate doing extra dishes, melt 2 tablespoons of butter. Whisk in 2 tablespoons of flour, and cook that for a minute to get the raw flour taste out. Then slowly pour in 2 cups of milk. Lower the heat to medium and keep whisking until it thickens up. Preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, then grease an 8x8 baking dish. Layer half your sliced potatoes on the bottom, then add a layer of beef and a layer of the sauce. Repeat that to make another layer. And then sprinkle the top with cheese. Finally, we're just gonna cover it with some foil, and this is gonna bake for about an hour. Take the foil off and cook it for another 15 to 20 minutes to get the top bubbly and golden. The potatoes become tender and soak up all that cheesy, beefy goodness. This is a very humble, simple casserole, but it's a crowd pleaser every single time. The whole family will love this. Next up, we have another family favorite, but with a really fun twist. If you think meatloaf is dry and boring, this one is going to change your mind. We are making a classic meatloaf and giving it a French onion soup makeover. It's really important to use an 80-20 ground beef. And since the beef is the main ingredient here, maybe even spend just a few extra dollars to get a higher quality ground beef, like Angus or Wagyu. This will immediately boost the flavor and texture. So mix that ground beef with your seasoned breadcrumbs, Parmesan cheese, and wait, let's talk about the onion for just a minute, because this is where the magic happens in this recipe. And we're not just using any onion, we're using a sweet onion. Instead of just chopping, we're gonna grate the onions on a cheese grater so they're really fine. When it's mixed into the meatloaf, it's gonna give a ton of flavor and moisture without any texture. Now finish the meat mixture with a packet of onion soup mix, an egg, milk, Dijon mustard, salt and pepper. Mix it all up until it's very well combined. I'm just using my hands, it's easier. Spray or grease your loaf pan and then press your meat mixture down into the loaf pan. You don't want to pack it in there, that can cause it to be tough. I do like to leave it a little bit mounded at the top. I think it looks nicer than a flat meatloaf. We're gonna bake this meatloaf at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 45 minutes or until it's cooked through. Make sure to use your meat thermometer for that. While we're waiting for the meatloaf to cook, we're gonna get started on the caramelized onions, and that is my favorite part of this whole recipe. Caramelized onions do take a while, so keep that in mind. You wanna get them started in the first half of the meatloaf cooking time, so they're cooking together. Heat a tablespoon of olive oil and a tablespoon of butter in a large skillet over medium heat. Add the sliced onions and cook, stirring occasionally until they're caramelized. It takes between 20 and 25 minutes. You can find the full recipe in the description down below or on our website, A Food Lover's Kitchen. While you're down there, make sure to hit the subscribe button so we can feed you many more delicious meals. All right, we've got one more step to go. Once the meatloaf hits 150 degrees Fahrenheit, remove it from the oven and top it with the Swiss cheese. Now put it back in for another 5 to 10 minutes until the cheese is melted and bubbly. Now all we need to do is top the meatloaf with our caramelized onions. And a little parsley on top. After it's rested for a few minutes, you can slice into it. Look at how juicy that is. The meat is so moist and flavorful, and the caramelized onions add a delicious sweetness. Stick around for the next one. It seriously only takes 10 minutes to make, and it is so good, you're gonna wanna make it twice this week. Our last dinner today is a ground beef and rice bowl. When you have zero energy and you need dinner in 10 minutes, you make this ground beef and rice bowl. It's sweet, savory, and packed with flavor. First, we're gonna mix up the sauce so that it's ready when the beef is done. Combine 1/4 cup soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of hoisin sauce, 1 tablespoon of rice vinegar, 1 teaspoon toasted sesame oil, and about a 1/4 teaspoon of red pepper flakes, if you like it spicy. Set that sauce aside for now. Heat some oil in a large pan. When it's hot, add the ground beef and cook it until it's browned, crumbling it with a spatula as you cook it. Turn down the heat now and add the garlic and ginger. We're just going to cook that for about a minute until the aroma starts to bloom. Then add the broccoli. Pour in that delicious sauce and stir it all together. Now we'll give it 2 to 3 minutes so the broccoli can soften a bit. No one wants soggy broccoli, so keep your eye on it. All right, let's get our bowls ready. Add your reheated rice to your bowls. Then top it with ground beef. Garnish with green onions, sesame seeds, and maybe some extra red pepper flakes. It's simple, it's filling, and it costs maybe $3 a serving. There are 4 ways to turn ground beef into something incredibly tasty without blowing your budget.
Now we all know that you have rice in the pantry, so watch this video with 4 more great dinners that are just as tasty and budget friendly.